Gay Redditors who have been sent away to pray away the gay camps. What was your experience like and what went on behind closed doors? My friend's cousin was sent away to one of these camps. After several pleas to her parents to leave and that it wasn't working and making her miserable and develop a sense of self-loathing, she was forced to finish the program. Still gay, she committed suicide a month later, and in her letter she wrote, "Mom, Dad, I love you despite how misguided you are. You taught me how to hate and feel disgusted with myself rather than to love myself." She was 17. Dang. Lawyer friend's brother got sent away over a decade ago for the summer when he was about 16 to an all-boys retreat. It was much like described by other commenters, with guys touching each other for therapy, staring at each other in supervised showers, and sitting in group being told their father was a poor male role model. My friend now works on cases involving suing these fake camps and shutting them down. P.S. His brother is now a fabulous dresser and has a great job in the fashion industry. With guys touching each other for therapy, staring at each other in supervised showers. That's idiotic. How is that supposed to make someone not gay? I have an older friend who went to one because his father was disappointed in him for not being normal. Apparently one of the tests involved taping electrical pads to his testicles and forcing him to watch gay pee. If he got an erection then he was apt. Worked so swell that he married a lady, then divorced her because she was a lesbian, and he got a boyfriend. Yep. My cousin did when he was like 17. It wasn't a pray away camp as much as a let's talk about our feelings. No religious connotation. They tried to get him to think that he was gay because his biological father was abusive to him and his mother, or that he was mad at his adoptive father, or he never forged a close bond with his mother. They tried to see if he just wanted to be different to stand out. Just all these odd scenarios. Realistically, he had no memories of his bio father and has always called my uncle who married his mom and then adopted him. They have 2 kids that have always considered him nothing less than a full brother. They didn't know he was adopted till they were teenagers. He was very upset by the end of the week. He wanted his parents to know it wasn't them that caused this. Nothing caused it, it's just the way things are. They all sat down in a very open discussion. He never realized how upset his parents were and why. He wanted them to know he didn't see it as a bad thing and they shouldn't either. After that my aunt and uncle kind of gave in and accepted it. Much more over time. My cousin has been with his partner for at least 10 years now. He was just a special friend then boyfriend. We even had Christmas at their house last year. No one even cares anymore if they are gay or not. TLDR. Camp didn't change my cousin, rather helped his family accept him. This might not be the place, but I really need to vent. My dad did one of these camps. He was told, in the 70s and 80s, by his conservative church that it would be possible to live as a normal straight man if he tried hard enough. He conveniently had all the precursors they like to identify reasons for gayness: an abusive home, a bad relationship with his father, struggles with depression in his past. He fell for the whole thing, and as far as he thought, had prayed his way to being straight. When he married my mother, he didn't tell her of his past struggles. She had no idea until last year, 26 years after their marriage, when he told her he'd been having an affair with another man. They are currently separated and working towards divorce. I don't mind that he's gay. People can love who they want to love. What I care about is that for 20 of those years, he was absolutely horrible to my mother. He found insidious ways to undermine her faith in her abilities as a partner and a mother. He blamed all their marital problems on her, while all the while holding back the real one. It sounds one-sided, and it pretty much is. I love my dad, but he's been so damaged by 30 years of trying to convince himself that who he is wrong, and he's taken it out on us. The damage done by those camps and that system of thought has wreaked havoc on his sense of self. I've never known him to be an involved father. He has a history of violent outbursts, once against my mother, once against each of my brothers, and twice against me. He doesn't take a lot of interest in what we do or how we feel. Everything is about his internal struggle. I can see now that with issues such as these boiling away in him, it would have been impossible for some of them not to escape. Now that he's out of the closet, his whole identity is wrapped up in his gayness. It's odd for me, as someone of a generation that just gets on with it, to see someone so wholly embrace their sexuality as their entire identity. He's lived the last 30 years as a straight man, and now all his energy goes into this new self. He has no time for me or my brothers. I don't know what happens at these camps, but I know that having lived with someone who lived their success story, they're awful. I'm sorry for your suffering, and his. What a freaking crappy situation. Related question. Do these camps take both young gay men and women, or are there separate, dedicated camps for gay and lesbians? They do take both men and women, but they segregate them. Not all take both genders, but some do. I'm a straight Redditor who was sent to one because my best friend was gay and my Catholic parents thought we were dating. The big problem I have with this is that it makes it seem like the camp worked. It did not. I simply was sent there via a series of events suitable for a sitcom world. What happened there? Mine was officially billed as a church camp for unruly teenagers. It just so happened to largely rely on anti-gay therapy. That was a joke. There were prayer circles and abuse. A lot of late nights and early mornings. Sing-alongs and Jesus talk. There was a room for solitary reflection that I got sent to a lot. It was terrifying. I'd go for day-long periods sitting in the room without food or water because I'd denied Jesus and refused to admit to a problem I didn't have. Not that being gay is a problem. It was just referred to as one here. Admittedly, I was 15 and a smartass. I like to disagree with people and I'm as headstrong as they come. It probably would have been smarter to just play along with the whole thing, pretend it was curing me. I didn't do that. I ended up running away from it after a week, borrowing a stranger's phone, and having a friend drive 6 hours to rescue me. As for what else went on at camp, I walked in on a camper hooking up with a counselor of the same sex at the obstacle course once. That was a thing. If you have any specific questions about the camp, I could probably answer them. You should write a book. No joke. I never went to a Pray Away the Gay camp, but I did go to a special psychologist that dealt with it. Maybe it was a psychiatrist. I don't know the difference. But he was a former gay man who had since turned his life over to God. The first, I think, 8 times, my mom went with me. This was moments after she found out that my lifelong friend and I were actually dating each other and having sex. For much of that time, we started around 12 and were together until senior year in high school. While we were there, the guy basically said that my desire to be with men was due to my desire to conquer the other man by having his penis in my mouth. The men in my life, not the psychologist, always on the search for a bigger and bigger penis. This was complete BS in my mind, because at the time I was taken to this guy, I was 15-16. I hadn't had even one penis in my mouth. When we had sex, it was literally just sex. That, and my guy, who was the only one I was with at all up to that point, was pretty small, maybe 4 inches. But I didn't care. I loved him. Starting on the 9th visit, I was going by myself. I was mostly doing this to appease my parents, as they were under the impression being gay, well, bisexual in my case, was a choice, and that I could change it if I wanted to. It was kinda nice getting some of the feelings out that I'd been keeping largely to myself. I've never kept a diary journal or anything. He's telling me about his former life, and how much he resented the fact that he found men attractive, and liked having sex with them. I'm telling him about how much I absolutely love my guy. I'm telling him how I didn't feel the slightest regret for what I'd done. I wasn't that big into religion as a kid. Certainly not as much as my parents were. Heck, I'd had a 3-way with my guy and the pastor's son sometime shortly after these therapy sessions. Sometime after the 12th to 16th week, I started getting this creepy vibe from the guy, like he wanted to make a move on me. It was really weird and very uncomfortable. I've never been uncomfortable or weirded out by anyone, and I've known some creepy people in my life, but I just had that feeling about him. So I told my parents, and that was the end of that. To this day, we haven't brought it up, and my parents really don't even acknowledge that I'm into guys. It's always just you'll find the right girl someday. I hope I do. Or even the right guy. Someone. Dang. This post brought back way too many memories I'd had tucked away. Thanks a lot, OP. Always on the search for a bigger and bigger penis. I'm a straight married man and I'm on this same search. My search is limited to my own pants, though, and it fails every time. I spoke directly with Ted Cox, who tells about his experiences with these camps. One of the camp's theories is that a man is gay because of repressed feelings about his father, typically anger. So they would have you take a baseball bat and smash the heck out of a pillow, while being forced to yell things like, "I hate you, Dad." Then, they think gay men need to associate male contact with something non-sexual, so they, and I crap you not, sit 10 to 15 gay men down on the floor, sitting in each other's laps, or in between their legs, until they are all touching each other. See? Male contact, and absolutely nothing sexual about it. You're cured. I think I'm too straight. Maybe I should sit in a group of girls. That should help. Knew a guy who claimed he was sent to one. He said he never had more sex in his life than when he was sent away to a gay deprogramming camp. Can't verify, but don't let that get in the way of a good story and an excellent punchline. Can't verify, but don't let that get in the way of a good story and an excellent punchline. This should be Reddit's tagline. I didn't go to a camp, but when my brother outed me, my parents made me go to a reformed lesbian counselor and to family counseling, which ultimately was a pray the gay away shindig. I was 16 or 17 when we started going. My brother, who I adored my entire life, had somehow managed to steal my first girlfriend away from me. Dealing with a breakup and a betrayal was difficult enough, but I also was being told that I was going to heck by my parents, a counselor, and all these church folks. At one point, my parents drew up a contract that they forced me to sign to continue being allowed to live in their house. I nearly lost my mind. When I was 16, I asked to be admitted to the psych ward of a nearby hospital. I couldn't take the combination of huge, negative emotions I was going through. I stayed there a week, which did help me some. Unfortunately, I didn't talk to anyone there about what was going on at home. I stopped giving a crap about anything other than getting away from that place. I dropped out of school and went to live with a friend. I'm 30 now and have moved past most of this, but it's taken years and years of therapy. Not quite on topic, but pretty close. Let me preface this by saying at the time I was a non-denominational Christian, regularly attended church, and my father had always been a fairly liberal, pro-science type Christian. I am a female. When I was 18, I told my parents I was attracted to and dating a woman, and they flipped out and cried and told me it wasn't what Jesus would want. But I was young and in love and didn't care. So basically we just sat around and they tried to convince me it was a sin, and they cried a lot and just generally made me feel like crap. But I didn't back down. So my dad asked if I would be willing to go talk to the minister at church about this with him, and I agreed because I wanted to make him feel better. When we met with the minister, I was able to counter all of the sin stuff he said. The Bible isn't really as anti-gay as a lot of Christians make it out to be. The minister referred us to a Christian therapist and I agreed to go with my father, although mostly for his sake because I wasn't planning on changing anything. We went to this Christian therapist maybe 3 or 4 times. He talked to us separately and we read the Bible and prayed, and he tried to convince me it was a sin. I disagreed with him and told him I was happy with who I was. After the 3rd or 4th meeting like this, he told my father and I that there was nothing more he could do unless I recognized my sin and wanted to change, and I didn't. So that was that. But over the next few years my family was never okay with it. I learned to just not talk about it ever because it made them cry a lot. Now I'm 25 and dating a man, which my parents don't approve of either, but that's a different story. I never felt bad though about leaving them out of the loop about my love life, and that mostly stems from the way they treated me when I told them I was dating a woman. Well, I know a guy who went through one and was apparently cured. The thing is, when I met him I did not know the story. I knew his girlfriend, now wife, and met him through her. She is, shall we say, heavy, very heavy, and he is, shall we say, fit, like personal trainer fit. He is a personal trainer as a matter of fact. Also very good looking. A guy you could imagine could model for Abercrombie and Fitch. So, and I felt guilty thinking this way, but the truth is the truth. But I wondered as soon as I met him, even asking my wife, what does a guy like that see in her? Now keep in mind that they are both super religious, which was the pieces of the puzzle coming together, but I was still oblivious. Then we noticed a strange set of clues on their Facebook pages. Her profile picture was of her and him together, smiling. His Facebook profile pic was him, shirtless. Her Facebook timeline was filled with stories of her and him, and pictures of her and him. His Facebook timeline rarely if ever mentioned her, and his pics were of him, usually shirtless, or his male friends, also often shirtless, riding bikes, doing mud runs, lifting weights, etc. Always men, always doing manly things. Then we heard the story and it all came together. He was gay and the church cured him, and as proof he married a bona fide woman before the eyes of God. What a waste of both their lives. They are both living a different lie, and pretending to be happy. It could be an agreed upon lie. So the theory is that if you round up a bunch of gay teens and send them to camp together they will become less gay. Won't they just frick the crap out of each other while they're at camp? I know I would. That is exactly what happens. A real question, why are these even allowed? Unless you're old enough to make the decision for yourself, that seems like mistreatment of your child. Because religion, usually anyway, there are a few that are supposedly non-religious, but I find that somewhat dubious. I am going through that right now. I'm not in a de-gaying camp per se, but my parents are trying to pray away the gay, or more precisely the B, from me by putting me under home arrest and learning how to be closer to God. I don't think it's working though, but they don't have to know that. When I was younger I used to pray and pray that God would give me 2 hands. He never did, so I came to the realization that I'm just born this way and no amount of praying will change that. You can't change the way you are born. Either people accept you for that or they are not worth your time. I got sent to a female one when I was 14. Ran away as soon as they started talking about sitting 2 of us in a shower at a time, naked, and watching us to make sure that we didn't do the deed. Parents still insist that I'm a sinner, that I'm going to burn in heck, all that crap. But the place that I got sent to got shut down, and hopefully all of them got punished. I know that a friend I made there was molested by one of the group leader type people in the name of God. She was 13. My friend got sent to a guy one when he was about 15 I think. Similar story, just more frisky teens doing it in the woods, and being punished, molested, if they tried to run away. Place also got shut down. While not all of them are absolute pedophile fests, I feel ill thinking about how many parents cart their kids off to these places, doing little to no research, and then having the nerve to be proud of themselves for spotting it, when really, their kids probably just pretended to be straight to get the frick away from those nutcases. I'm from Europe and never saw or heard of pray away gay camps, so pardon my ignorance. But how the frick should de-gaying work when you put a bunch of frisky gay teenagers into one camp? Wouldn't that just literally create a big clusterfuck? When I was in elementary school, a kid who sat next to me in 4th grade suddenly stopped coming to school for about a month and a half. When he came back he was a very different person than before. He prayed in class, which he caught a lot of crap for. He went out of his way not to associate with any of the boys in our class. When I asked him where he'd been he said he went to another school for touching his cousin's wiener. I saw him around the halls and whatnot during 5th grade. He was always alone after that. I'll swear he went from being an awesome kid to a person who couldn't stand to be around other people. What the frick did they do to him? My ex's cousin was sent to one of these at 10 years old. I'll get some more info if interested. Whoa, so young. Please do. Throwaway. I was in boarding Catholic school since young, 8 years old, when my parents felt that I was too sensitive girly. I just wanted to read and not play sports at all. I would, of course, being gay I was a bit effeminate and there were always rumors that I was gay. Anyways, it was boarding Catholic school where I had private therapy where they would talk to me about Jesus and his love can achieve anything and that living in sin is bad. And every day they would comment on, of course, being gay is a terrible sin. It fricked me up really bad. The worst part was when one of the priests got friendly with me. Very friendly. I was 12. He was in his late 40s. I begged to be let out. I tried committing suicide several times, until I almost accomplished it once. My parents relented and changed me schools and never mentioned the topic ever again. To this date they refuse to talk about anything that happened or could have happened or didn't happen during those years in Catholic school. Frick all priests. I'm sorry to hear about that. I really hope you are doing okay now. My girlfriend of 3 years was sent to one when she was a teenager. We're a straight couple, but she identifies sexually as more gay than straight. For some reason we just work. But anyway, her extremely religious mother sent her to one of those camps, but she was sent home only a few days later for attempting to sleep with the pastor's smoking hot daughter. I love her so much. I kind of want to open a homosexual adjustment camp and just design it to be an accepting environment to explore homosexuality, while seeming to these crappy patents like a camp that straightens out their kids. I had a friend that went to gay camp. Apparently they made her suck on a big dildo to get used to it. Another friend told me they were encouraged to masturbate to images of men. A friend of mine was sent to one of those. He had asked to go. His father would try to beat the gay out of him. He came back and acted cured. He acted really straight for a few months. Since we were in high school at the time, it was really weird for us. We knew he was still gay. On day another friend of ours just asks, "Do you really think you're straight?" My friend said no. A flood of questions for him came in after that. He hoped being cured would stop the beatings. It did. So we played along. The school started a gay-straight alliance that we all joined. We met a girl whose parents were trying to cure her of being a lesbian. My friend and her ended up becoming two peas in a pod. They stared using each other as a mask. He proposed to her over Christmas and they will be getting married next November, I think. They would make a perfect real couple if they were attracted to each other. Christian here. These camps exist? Also, after reading these comments, I'm disgusted. So much for showing God's love to others if that's the way they act. Disagree or not, no one deserves to be hated or rejected. Pathetic. This isn't particularly relevant, but I have a friend who's both a lesbian and Catholic. Whenever people tell her that she can't go to church, she responds, "Well, I have to go to church so I can pray the gay away." No camp or conversion therapy, but when I came out to my mother at age 15, she took me to a couple psychologists that she probably thought would cure me. They simply diagnosed me as bisexual. I now identify as gay, and told her it was unlikely to change. She cried. The sessions were very uncomfortable, always being asked about what I think about when I masturbate. I have no experience here but just want to put in my 10 cents. I'm not American and hadn't heard of these camps before. All I can say is WTF. My dearest cousin is gay and he is the most loving, beautiful man I have ever known. He has a strong relationship with both his parents who totally accept him for who he is, which totally discounts all of these camps' views on how people become gay. For anyone out there who is doubting themselves and or has been through this horrible trial, know that there are millions of people out there who accept you completely as you are. You are not an abomination and you are an equal human being. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.